And do I have problems? Sure, so does everybody else. Do I have a past? Sure, so does everybody else. You could tell me I'm never gonna make it, or whatever you want. I mean, it's a free country. People like to say, well, she's not nice. Well, why? Because I've done porn in my life?
While you're here, if you would consider subscribing to help my tiny egg of a channel, I would be so appreciative. Thank you. Welcome back, Nuggets. This mother clucker has some thoughts. Let's ruffle some feathers and get into the video. Okay, my nuggets. So today I have a quick mother clucker for you. I want to do a catch up on what Candy was doing in the month of March. Now, I was aiming to try and do these on live stream, but unfortunately we had a bit of a storm and the internet's been a little bit clucky since, so you get a video, but maybe this is a good format for these anyway. So I want to run through some key highlights of her mukbangs that she released on her main channel, but most importantly, the weigh-ins and vlogs that she put up on her second channel, Amazura Darkstar. There were some interesting things discussed in this, not gonna lie, but without further ado, let's get into it. I hope you enjoy the video. Okay, so a little bit of context for this video. This is pretty much the night that we left off the live stream that I did last month. Basically, what had happened was she had a very, very stressful week. She didn't tell us what had happened, but she was seemingly quite emotionally distressed at the time, and she opted not to do a weigh-in for the 1st of March. She did mention that she was going to try and get a healthier option that night, which turned out to be this Japanese barbecue. And I will share my thoughts on this, Nuggets.
Hey y'all. Today I'm having something that I haven't had on the channel. It is Japanese bento. I'm really excited. Just the packaging is beautiful. It's all gorgeous.
I mean, it just looks like takeaway to me. I don't know if I would call this gorgeous, but I did a little bit of sleuthing on this one. And I normally wouldn't do this for a quick mother clucker or on live. I would leave this for the proper chaptered deep dive videos. But I just out of curiosity wanted to do a little squiz because she did list all of the things that she bought from this barbecue place. Now, I looked up this restaurant and it didn't have any nutritional information listed, which I don't love, especially for somebody who is focusing on calorie counting. It would be impossible to know exactly how much you're consuming unless there was like a pamphlet that came with it. I don't know, but it wasn't on their website, which is quite unusual, although seemingly not as unusual for American restaurants as it is for Australian restaurants. We tend to have a lot more regulations around that kind of thing so that you always know what you're consuming. But a quick run through, I will do my best to estimate. But I also want to discuss the pricing on this. So she mentioned that she had an oolong tea, which is 0 calories, apparently anyway, garlic chili tofu, napa kimchi, miso soup, a small salad. What I guessed based on the picture that she had there was one of the triple bento. I did my best, but I just want to specify that I could very, very clearly see pork belly there. So I'm wondering what she's defining as healthy. I think we need to talk about that. And a bunch of sauces that went through that. So on estimation, I'm guessing that if all of this was consumed, I don't think she went through all the sauces and everything, but somewhere in the realm of 1,550 calories to 2,030 calories for this meal. And it is a massive amount of food. So not only are we seeing some very high salt things, very high sodium things like the soups and the sauces, but we're also seeing some very high fat things like the pork belly and the meats, and I'm sure that some of the sauces and things also have quite a bit of sugar in them. So what about this meal is exactly healthy? I would love to know what is Candy's definition of healthy, because even the amount of calories that are being consumed here is not good for somebody in her situation. That this meal cost over $60 just for this meal. And for my Australian nuggets, that is over 100 Australian dollars. And I just want to highlight that you all know that I'm the queen of frugal. My husband and I can eat for a week on this kind of money. And that's why I say I just want to see, I'd love to get my little talons on Candy's budget, because I guarantee you I could find that money for that weight loss medication. You cannot be spending money like this, even if you're justifying a mukbang and say that you have financial issues. But that's enough of a rant for me. Let's continue with this first mukbang.
Yeah, so that's kind of all I've been doing, is just watching my TV shows, playing my World of Warcraft when I can. I can't play long periods of time because, I'll end up leaning over because of the hip. Y'all see me lean over a lot here, to one side or another. It's because my hip's giving me issues, but, c'est la vie, that's life.
So I left this in here because this actually comes up quite a bit throughout the videos that I'm going to cover in this video. But if you watched my chapter 2 video on Candy, you'll see that although that was filmed like over 9 years ago, she's actually saying exactly the same thing. So we're hearing a lot of that kind of, I'm just watching a lot of TV, I'm just playing a lot of my computer games, and really like nothing has changed in that amount of time. And I thought that was quite telling.
As far as the health journey on the other channel, not good things to talk about this week over there even. But F.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, like I did cover this in the live stream, but if you don't want to go back and watch that, it's just she clearly has some sort of angst going on in her life at the time, and it does seem like she kind of had given up on her weight loss journey and bettering herself kind of journey for that week. It's like it got put on pause.
So I'm trying to make a healthier choice today. Hopefully I succeeded. Of course, sauces. I didn't use too much of any of the sauces, I don't think.
Okay, so she's registering that sauces aren't healthy. But yeah, I would love to hear that definition. I'm wondering if Candy is defining, if it comes from a fast food place, then it's unhealthy. But if it comes from a restaurant, it's healthy. But really, this is just kind of dressed up in a fancy ball gown, right? It's essentially the same stuff. But when it comes to Candy, and I hope that somebody gets this through to her at some point, it's really not about the food that she's eating. It's about the portions that she's eating, and it's just the sheer amount of calories. And I think that she would have so much success if she was just focusing on the calories and not really thinking about anything else, not overcomplicating it. Just go calories in, calories out. It's pure and simple math. And that way, as well, she wouldn't trigger herself with feeling like she's deprived of the things that she wants, which then causes, the crop loading behavior cycle that we've discussed many times. It's kind of like a budget when you think about it, right? You've got a certain amount of money that you can spend in a month, but when you're talking about calories, you've got a certain amount of calories that you can spend on food. And it might even get to the point where she goes, well, I don't really want to have this takeout because then that takes too many of my calories for the day, and I'd rather fill up on other things. These sorts of things can happen, but yeah, portion control is the main message here. Okay, the second mukbang she did was Taco Bell. Now, full disclosure, I've never had Taco Bell. It did hit Australian shores. It does exist here. But to me, I don't know. Tell me what you think, Nuggets. It doesn't seem super appetizing to me.
Hey, yo. Today, I'm having some Taco Bell. I usually call it Taco Belly.
So I haven't done the caloric breakdown, but tell me if that's something you'd like to see, Nuggets, because I can just include it anytime I see food on the screen. But this doesn't look like, this is a mukbang that she's set up for her eating shows. It doesn't look like a lot of food, like a lot of volume, does it? But I bet it's a fair whack of calories. Those flatbread, the way they're made, they can be really, really deceptive in what's in them.
So yeah, it's Monday. Not a lot's been going on. It does it ever. It does it ever. I've been doing just playing a little bit of World of Warcraft. That's all I do. Playing some Skyrim. It's one of those games that you can play over and over and over again. You just got like catching butterflies and bugs and picking herbs and things if you want to. Just like any other game, just like World of Warcraft, like RPG games that have like an open world situation where you can just wander around and do side quests. I feel like my whole life has been a side quest. I'm just doing a little over here, a little over there, No real focus on a main goal in life.
I found this really interesting that she brought this up, and Skyrim is my jam too. I feel that, and we will not be discussing what time I've clocked on Skyrim. And each time I play it, I'm totally going to play it through, complete it in its entirety. Totally going to happen. But something that she described there of like always being on a side quest, I think actually what might be more appropriate is it's almost like she is an NPC in her own life, and she waits for external triggers to make her do something, or people coming into her life to create that kind of activity in a way. And I found it interesting that she kind of describes that she doesn't really have any hard and fast goals, particularly at a point in her life that she's at right now. There should absolutely be hard and fast goals, and I'm not sure if she's just kind of in that post mukbang haze that she gets into, that kind of almost intoxicated state. But I don't know if she actually believes what she's saying here. Because we will continue on through the videos, but there are hard and fast goals. She is actively, seemingly trying to save her life. So it's a curious statement from her.
I'm just content most of the time. And do I have problems? Sure. So does everybody else. Do I have a past? Sure. So does everybody else. Do I have hopes and dreams? Obviously. But I'm one of those people that I'm kind of just content in the moment. I'm kind of no complaints other than usual aches and pains.
I have to admit, look, the more I learn about Candy, the more I actually do kind of like her, and I do kind of see what people are talking about there, because I know in the first video nuggets, I was a bit confused because it did kind of seem very Amber Lynn-ish in its style. And I do find it refreshing that, she's not constantly playing the victim card, she's not constantly complaining, and I think that she absolutely does have reason to do both of those things. I think it's great that she manages to at least exude a little bit of happiness in that way. But having said that, to be content at this point is so dangerous for her, actually completely crippling for her to feel content in this way. And when your metaphorical house is on fire and you desperately need to take action in your life, that is the time where you push relentlessly to fight for what you need and what you deserve. But as we've discussed quite a bit with Candy, I think that she is living exactly what she thinks she deserves.
When I get done here, I'm probably just gonna watch a little bit of TV and relax, because that's what I do. I just take it easy, even though I've got a lot going on in my head, I just try to chill as much as possible. Whew, no need to let it hurt me, and just take it one day at a time.
Oh, that one day at a time mantra that she has, she needs to lose that. She's literally been saying that since the origin story that we saw, which was filmed in 2017, and I'm guessing it was probably a mantra before that too. It doesn't work. It's not one day at a time. You need to be changing something up to get a different result in this way. But I think what we might actually be seeing from her here is she's had a very tough couple of weeks, and we're probably seeing a little bit of coping mechanism going on here. And I think that this is her fallback for that coping mechanism, to be able to say, one day at a time, I'm trying. And it's just a way that we kind of operate as humans to trick ourselves into thinking that we are doing something when in actual fact, we are not doing anything. Okay, so moving on to her first weigh-in of March. So as I mentioned, she skipped the one that would have been on the 1st of March, and this is moving in to the 8th of March.
Hey y'all, it is March 7th, 2025, and I'm about to get up and do my weigh-in for the week. Yep, today's Friday, it's that day.
Oh. It's ready. 397.8 pounds.
You said 397.8 was what it said. So yeah, I've been doing pretty good this week, food wise. Not a lot of food noise going on, not a lot of like obsessing over things that I shouldn't have. I mean, that just shows me what I can do if I really, really pay attention to what I'm doing.
And doesn't that just show, because we literally just watched her eat 2 massive mukbangs. The reality is that Candy has such a high basal metabolic rate that her body uses just to exist and just to run the machine, that she can actually do these mukbangs and still lose weight if she is doing what she needs to on the off days, so the other essentially 5 days of the week. That would not be sustainable long term, because obviously as you drop in weight, then your engine requires less to run. So you need to taper that back.
If y'all only knew how hard it is for me to move. But I was telling a friend the other day that even though it hurts, I gotta move to get moving. You know what I mean? So every little bit of movement, is helping me.
I love to hear this from her. This is the first time since I've been following her journey and, starting her new health journey back in December, that I've heard her reference that it's going to, like, something along the lines of, it's going to take effort on my behalf to get through this. And she's so right, because I don't know, Nuggets, you listening, I don't know what sort of situation you're in, but assuming you are living kind of a normal physical kind of lifestyle where you're going out to work and moving around the house and things like that, if you've ever had to be in bed for extended periods of time, you'll realize how painful that gets. And the human body is just designed to keep moving. It wants to move constantly. It wants to move in different ways. And the more that you start to move it in different ways, the more it wants to move in those ways. And I just absolutely love to hear this from her. I think this is so critical. And I think it's the beginning of a mindset shift that we're starting to see from her.
People got so many damn questions about, when are you going to the doctor? What about this? And what about that? The nutrition class. The entitlement is just ridiculous with some of these people. I swear to God, I mean, I'm a face on the internet, I'm not somebody that in your own personal life that you need to monitor or babysit or whatever.
So we've got sassy Candy, and it's a bit different, isn't it? I think she's getting a little bit sick of her comment section, and if you've ever been in there, it is a little rough. I don't love it. I really don't. But the reality is that parasocial relationships happen, and she's got these people that tune in and watch her multiple times a week. And it could be that she's really dealing with people that actually have deep care for her, that want desperately to see her succeed. So it's not really entitlement. It's more that they want to keep her accountable and keep her moving in the right track. For the most part, I'm not going to say that's always the case. But yes, the beginning of Sassy Candy. More to come.
This is a personal journey. This is my journey. Y'all are welcome to come along with me if you want to, but you do not govern my journey. Okay? If I fail, I fail. If I do good, I do good. You know, you could praise me. You could tell me I'm never going to make it. You know, or whatever you want. I mean, it's a free country. You know, I mean, as long as you're being respectful and not being, you know, a nasty name caller or something, you know, just calling somebody names just to be juvenile or whatever.
I do agree with that. And I think name calling is absolutely crossing the line. I do get what she's saying. I don't think it's a great idea to put your weight loss journey online. I've watched quite a bit of Obese to Beast, and he discusses that quite frequently on his channel, and I really like his take on it, because as soon as you start to put things like that, and especially in Candy's case where it's so emotionally charged for her, this is interwoven with childhood trauma that has not been dealt with, right? So you've got this emotionally charged thing that's then being put on the internet, and as soon as you put it on the internet, it means you're inviting people to talk about it and to have opinions about it. And, you know, she's kind of on one hand saying that, oh, people have the right to say what they want to say, and that, you know, that's fine. But then on the other side, she's saying, but you don't get to govern me. I do think it's a risky thing. I understand why she's probably done it. I think she's probably doing it because she feels like then she has accountability to be had, which does kind of highlight her emotional maturity, because I think if you're putting accountability on an external entity, then it means that you're not truly doing it for yourself. What it boils down to is you, as an individual, has a body. You're not going to get another body. So it's your responsibility to look after yourself in the way that you might say look after your pet or look after your child. You also have to do the same thing for your own body. I am concerned that at least when she started this journey, it was not for her. But given what we just heard about the movement, I think she might be starting to shift that mindset.
Mostly, like 90% of you guys are very kind and very understanding of the struggles, because y'all have been there, you know. Yeah. It's not an easy struggle battling your food addictions, especially having the job that I have right now.
No, and she's right. You know, the road to succeeding in something that you are aiming to do is usually not a linear journey, especially when it comes to losing weight, and especially when it comes to losing weight with trauma attached to it. And I think anybody that has tried to achieve something in their life would understand that. But again, the issues of putting it on the internet, people are going to say things when you go backwards. And unfortunately, recently, she's gone backwards. And I almost feel like I could just copy and paste the entire video that I just did on Eugenia, the section of hate that, you know, took up like the entire first half of the video. And how to deal with it and what you need to think. But I do agree what she's trying to say with her job, and I've addressed this before in videos as well, where I think that there are alternative ways that she could get an income that do not involve doing what she's doing, because it's actively harming her life. But unfortunately, she's convinced herself of a lie that this is the only way that she can earn money, when it's just categorically untrue.
I don't, you know, and I'm still going to be adding my calories up, because I think that heavy calorie counting is actually helping.
Wait, with the what now? Calorie counting helps? I'm shocked. I'm flawed. Who else is flawed? Nuggets, pick yourselves up off the ground, please.
I'll be back, and I'll say hi again in a little while and talk about a few more things. But see y'all in a bit. Alrighty, so I'm just chilling, waiting for my delivery order. I made an executive decision. And I was like, I did my weigh-in today. So I deserve a treat. Y'all know how silly that is, but I've been craving some fried fish for a while, so I'm gonna have me some fried fish tonight.
So Candy again, showing that kind of real self-awareness, but then doing what Candy does best is kind of turning that blind eye and being able to completely delude herself into something else. And she knows that doing a weigh-in does not mean then that she can eat a bunch of fried food. That's not what this is about. That is that emotional maturity that I was talking about, where she's not fully taking accountability for her situation. And what it boils down to is in life, when you can't quite get yourself to do something, or you try and you try, but you fail, or it doesn't work, or whatever the case may be, it's that you're picking which scenario you want more. So in Candy's case, does she want to improve her health to be able to live longer? Or does she want to satiate her immediate gratification and have fried food more? Which one means more? And sometimes it comes down to, in the moment, multiple times a day. And I'm not just talking about weight loss, I'm talking about anything that you're trying to achieve. Sometimes boils down to multiple times a day where you have to have that serious conversation with yourself and say, well, which do I want more? And unfortunately, I think in most cases, giving into that immediate gratification thing is going to be quite detrimental.
Hey y'all, today I'm giving in to the craving monster. I've been craving some fried fish for the longest time.
And so unlike her Taco Bell mukbang, this is a lot of food. Those cups that you see there are all like heavy mayonnaise-based sauces and just, copious amounts of fried food. Good for the feel-good hormones in the brains though, isn't it?
Oh man, y'all, it's been a good week. It's been a pretty good week. I mean, I've had some days where I was kind of like, but so does everybody else. I don't really have a whole lot to complain about. I'm very fortunate like that.
Okay, so I think we're both back in that coping mechanism where we're just going to convince ourselves that everything is okay and we've got food in front of us, so we're feeling really excited about that, and we know that that is Candy's happy place. So she's feeling very positive and very excited about having this meal. And so nothing in the world is wrong. All is right.
If you're not eating, that's okay. I'm not asking you to eat with me. I mean, it would be nice. Some people do eat with me. Some people watch so they don't feel like eating. That's okay too. Some people just love to hate watch. That's their prerogative. If you've got a hateful soul and you just want to watch somebody crash out, more power to you.
Okay, so my nuggets. If you're here, you obviously consume this kind of content, right? And I'm not saying that you're consuming it direct from the source. You might be consuming it like you are right now via a reaction or commentary channel. But which one of those are you? Because I have to say that I do fall under one of these. And for the longest time, I have said that I think Amberlynn Reid is one of the most inspirational people on the internet, because that girl has the ability to be able to make my workout so fantastic. And I've spent many a workout watching reaction channels for quite a few years, I suppose. But tell me, which one of those are you?
Hey y'all, it's that time again. It's time for McDonald's. Yep, gotta do the McDonald's, cause man, McDonald's gets the views, y'all. And I like McDonald's anyway. I ain't complaining.
Okay, so this is another lie that Candy has convinced of herself of. I wonder if it may have been true at one point, but it is absolutely not true at this point. I had a bit of a squiz to see if what she was saying was correct. Are people tuning in for McDonald's? And while they do contain quite good views, those videos, it's not the most. There are many that are the same as or more that are not McDonald's, but we have convinced ourselves that McDonald's is the one that gets the views, therefore McDonald's is the one that pays the bills. And yeah, as you can see, it's just right now, that's not a fact.
It is after 9 a.m. Tuesday morning. I went to my room last night, probably a little before midnight. Took my medicines and everything, including the trazodone that I take for insomnia. And guess what? I ain't had me a wink of sleep. I just decided I was going to stay up. Just decided to stay up. Maybe I can flip my schedule around, something, I don't know.
So this is something that I've observed across all of the women that I cover. They all have circadian rhythm issues, all of them. And they all tend to be towards the night owl direction, but they're all inconsistent with when they sleep. I know that there's many, many reasons for insomnia. There's some very, very serious reasons for insomnia, but something that I've found that is incredibly helpful for a circadian rhythm is to maintain a proper activity level and a proper routine. Routine is everything. And I do suspect, without knowing, of course, there might be underlying medical issues causing this, but I do suspect that sitting in a room all day, the same room all day, every day, not moving, not eating well, not hydrating well, and sleeping randomly is going to be a large part of this issue. And I would be very interested to see what difference would come if there was a distinct wake-up time, a good eating schedule, a little bit of activity. I know it's going to be limited in Candy's situation. What kind of effect that would have, and maybe not need medication, potentially.
So I've been super emotional lately. Like, super emotional. It's like a whole range of emotions. I mean, and if y'all couldn't tell, I've been very, very irritable lately. Very irritable. Just little unimportant nonsense gets under my skin, and I'm just like going off. It's like, stop it.
So she has been biting back a little bit at her community, which compared to some others is very, very mild. Very mild. But for Candy, potentially out of character.
Is after I get done eating, I'm probably going to kick back in my chair. Maybe. I should probably just go to my room and go to bed. And get a few hours sleep and get up at my usual time, like 2 to 3 p.m.
Okay, so she's actually saying that her usual wake-up time is 2 to 3 p.m. And being a night owl myself and having felt the judgment from early birds, it's a thing. I'm not going to say that that's not the sleep schedule that she should be on, but given how she's running the rest of her life, I do wonder if maybe something different might be worth trying, but potentially she is just a night owl and she likes it that way. But the fact that she's going to bed, I think she said at 11 or 12, that's quite a bit of sleep time, isn't it? What is that? Like, is she sleeping 14 or 15 hours a day? That's a lot of sleep, but we don't know. There might be medical conditions.
Good morning, good morning. You've slept the whole night through. Good morning to you. What was that from? What was that from? I'm gonna get copyrighted. Oh, and I'm not high either. I'm trying to take a tolerance break and it's breaking my brain.
So she's hit that intoxication stage after a large and fatty meal. This seems to happen more often than not. I'm interested because we know that in chapter 2 that I did of Candy, we see that all the way back then. So this is still happening now. And I've wondered if there is a substance being used. It sounds like there is from time to time, and maybe that's what we're seeing. But right now she's saying that there isn't a substance. So I think we're seeing some blood sugar spiking going on.
It's not like I don't have the money. I just don't feel like... I haven't even been ordering groceries. Y'all know I was going to make the crawfish etouffee. I never got around to it. Because I still got to order some bell peppers and some celeries and some onions and some garlic. Because I ain't got none of that stuff. I ain't got none of it. I just keep putting stuff off. It's like I'm trying to save money.
I really need to see the budget. I really, really, really need to see the budget. So she said she's not ordering groceries, and yet she's also trying to save money. Those two things do not go together. If she's not ordering any groceries, does that mean that she's eating 2 or 3 meals of like just DoorDash or Uber Eats or something like that? Not good for the wallet, not good for the health. Okay, and that brings us to her next weigh-in.
Hey y'all, it's March 14th, Friday. I'm taking the day off, but I figured I would weigh in anyhow. And go ahead and... Y'all are facing the ceiling because I don't want to be seen. I don't feel good. I'm just barely making it here.
395.8 pounds.
395.8. Okay. I got a couple pounds in this week. I thought I was going to do even worse than that. Oh, I literally ate McDonald's last night before bed. So, it's not been a good week.
Goodbye.
Bye. No mukbang today, y'all, either. So, I'll see y'all next Friday.
Okay, so we're really seeing quite a lot of ups and downs this month. It's a bit rough. I always find it challenging when Candy can get very random with her filming orientation. So, portrait it is. But clearly she's at a point where she's not even feeling like she can do her job today, which is interesting. Can you keep that in mind? Because we will reference this again a little bit later in the video.
Hey y'all. Today I'm having me a steak. Yeah, I'm not even gonna bother doing video. I'm just gonna enjoy my steak.
Not even going to do a video. She usually does little montages at the beginning of her mukbangs, and you know, this is her job. But we're doing the bare minimum at the moment. But I just wanted to say my nuggets. 2 things. 1, is this what you think Australians eat? This is Outback Steakhouse and supposed to be an Australian themed restaurant. Yes, we are known for our steak here. We are not known for our boiled potatoes or, I guess, stuffed potatoes. And we are definitely not known for our Caesar salads. Just putting that out there. The other thing that I wanted to highlight is that I did not like the title of this video. And I think it's a little bit in poor taste. Tell me what you think. It was called Hungry Fat Chick Eats Her Last Meal. And then a little bit after that, if she were a death row inmate. But the thing is, when you see the thumbnail come up on YouTube, you can only see Hungry Fat Chick Eats Her Last Meal. I don't know. I mean, it's her health journey. It's her body to clickbait. I don't know, little on the nose.
Man, I hope everybody is doing well this week. I'm doing a lot better than I was this past weekend. A lot better. I was just feeling crappy.
So she does allude to these things that are causing her to go down. She doesn't actually share with us ever what they are, which is absolutely her prerogative. We don't need to know what they are. It does kind of make me question though, like why even bother bringing it up if you're not going to elaborate? So I'm curious, maybe this helps her views, maybe it helps her interaction in her comments. I don't know, but it stands out to me as odd.
Oh, and I would like to thank again the person that sponsored this meal, this yummy steak. I've enjoyed my dinner very much. I appreciate it. Oh gosh. Yep, so now I'm probably just gonna kick back and watch a little bit of TV and then go play The Sims or something. I don't know.
Yep, so same old, we do the mukbang, then we go watch TV and we play a game. So worth saying that this one was actually sponsored, so at least this one did not come out of the paycheck. A little context on this that she actually talks about in a future video. This was a super thanks that was sent to her from a viewer, and she wanted to thank that person. That person was not received well in her comments section. And as I observed in the first video that I did on Candy, her comment section is not a great place. It's definitely turning against her, which is why I was originally confused. You know, I hear that everybody likes her, but then I'm seeing in her comment section it's really not any different to Amber Lynn's or Eugenia's for that matter. So the community is definitely outspoken in that way.
Hey y'all, today is Friday, March 21st, and I'm about to do my weigh-in for the week. Okay, let me try to get up here. Okay.
393.6 pounds.
393.6. Okay, so I'm still coming down. Good stuff.
Goodbye.
Bye. It's calorie counting. It's actually helping. Alrighty, see y'all next week.
So she has been really consistently losing this month. It's not a lot, and it's definitely not the amounts that she could be if she was a little bit tighter. I think outside the mukbang days, on her days off, if she was really doing something like a 1200 or 1500 calorie intake on those days, she would be smashing it, and she'd be able to sustain that for a while. But at least it's in the right direction. I just so desperately want to see her take a little bit more accountability, a little bit more control, stop being, you know, that metaphorical NPC in her life and actually cause change.
Hey y'all. Today I'm having food from a place I don't know if I've had before on the channel. But it's an Italian place. Brio Italian Grill. I can't remember if I've done them or not. Ooh, and I do love me some gnocchis. Yummy, yummy. Ooh, and this is a side order. That's a lot for a side order, but whatever. I'm excited about it. I'm really excited. And I didn't order any desserts. They had desserts there. They also had like garlic bread type things, and I was like, no. And Diet Pepsi.
I mean, it's something, right? If she says she needs to sit down and do these mukbangs in order to pay her bills, well, at least don't pile on, right? So I feel like that's actually showing a little bit of restraint. The things you opt to not eat or to not order still matter as much as the things that are in front of you.
Yesterday I watched Cars for the first time. It was really good. I'm like, you know, yeah, I'm a 52, going on 53-year-old woman, and I still enjoy animated movies, video games, toys. And I just love it when people tell me, you know, grow up, you act like a toddler, all this stuff. You know what? I feel so bad for you. So bad for you that you have lost that childlike wonder, you know, in life where absurd and silly things can just make you happy, you know. Yeah, I'm a grown person, but you don't have to be prim and proper all the damn time. Do you? Do you really? I mean, if you do, I'm sad for you.
All right, Sassy Candy, back front and center. I understand that this is how she's probably needed to justify it in her head to understand it. Seriously, if you haven't watched my last Eugenia video, go watch it. It's chapter 7. I do a whole thing on hate. It's all, I'm not going to repeat it. Go watch it. And from what I can see in her comments, and definitely from my perspective, people are not saying she's acting like a toddler because she likes silly, whimsical things. Of course not. What people are seeing from what I've observed is that arrested development, which is the whole point why I'm covering her, because arrested development is what I do. And she, in a lot of ways, is still acting very much in the teenage space, especially surrounding that kind of immediate gratification thing that she constantly gives into in her life. That's what people are talking about. They're not talking about the fact that you like animated movies. Like, of course, adults can like animated movies. It's a silly argument. She's obviously starting to feel a little bit hurt by the more negative community members that are surrounding her space. And I think we're just kind of seeing the fraying on the edges here.
But yeah, so that's been keeping me busy. I'll watch a couple of movies a day. You know, just trying to catch up on all the ones that I haven't seen.
And I don't know if she's meaning this to sound the way it sounds, because it kind of sounds like that's all she's doing. So when we don't see her on camera, is she literally just sitting there keeping herself busy by catching up on movies? And it's why I just so desperately wish that these women that I cover, all of them, would just funnel a little bit of that time into something productive. And, you know, I'm not saying it always needs to be something creative, and it doesn't need to be active either. Just something that they can spend their time doing that enhances them as a person, that can give them a little bit more self-esteem and purpose in their lives. But instead, you know, we've got Amber Lynn constantly watching reaction channels. We've got Candy watching movies and playing games all day, and Eugenia doing, well, whatever Eugenia does all day. I think it involves a lot of social media.
Hey, y'all. Today is Friday, March 28th, and I'm getting ready to get up and do my weigh-in for the day, or for the week, that is. Yeah, I might as well get my excuses ready, because I've had a very interesting week. I've made some poor food choices here and there, so who knows. Even though I kind of tried my best to stay in my calories, we shall see.
393.4 pounds.
393.4. Okay, so I didn't lose a pound this week. But at least I didn't gain anything. So there is that.
Okay, so given the preamble we got, I think she was expecting a gain, but we stayed exactly where we were. Although, you know, of course, staying the same is not as bad as a gain, of course. But given Candy's situation, I so desperately want to see her just take the accountability. And I hope, Nuggets. I continue to hope.
Hey, y'all. So I'm at my chair. Man, my hip is so bad right now. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? It's like I'm trying to exercise, and it's like every time I move, it's like I mess it up even worse, you know? So it's like I'm not moving, and it gets stiff. And then I try to move it, and then I injure it. So it's like, what the hell? You know? How do people that are already messed up start the exercising process, you know? And I know I should be doing physical therapy and all this stuff, you know?
Okay, so a couple of points here. And this is kind of where I do bring a little bit of criticism towards Candy. She's not taking the initiative to learn about things. And we've seen that a couple of times from her now. Like, for example, the monetization of this channel. She hasn't bothered to Google. She's just accepted that, you know, I can't do it and I don't want to mess with it, so I'm not going to look into it. And a super quick Google search of how to exercise with a hip injury or how to exercise sitting in a chair, or, there's so many things that can be done. But the reality with Candy, although I love that she wants to be moving, and I think that's really important, ultimately the biggest thing that would help her hip at this stage is going to be to lose weight. And the amount of moving that she could do to burn calories is just not going to be any sort of dent in what she needs to do at the moment. She really needs to be able to improve her health in order to start doing the activities that would help her hip. So it's kind of looking at it from the wrong perspective. It has to be, given the health situation that she's got herself in, it has to be all about those calories. If you have found yourself in this situation, you're going, well, I can't go for a run because I have a knee injury, or I can't do a dance class because I have a hip injury. There's so much more out there. Okay, I am a fitness Marshall fan. If any of you have come across him, he is fantastic. He has a lot of chair exercise options in his dance workouts. Especially when you subscribe to like the membership and things like that, they frequently do that kind of thing. So you can literally do little dances while sitting in a chair. That would be great, as an example.
It'd be nice. It would be nice. But right now, I can't even leave my apartment because I can't take a step without screaming, practically. And it's embarrassing. I don't even want people to come over, and when people do come over, I don't want to move because, who wants to hear somebody grunt and groan and cry all the way to the bathroom or whatever,
She's embarrassed. It's understandable. It's kind of a self-perpetuating cycle, isn't it? Where you do the things that make you feel good, and that leads to these health things, and then that leads to you not wanting to see the people that make you happy and that you love, which leads to you crop loading, and then that leads to it just keeps going and going. I do feel for her, and I do think she knows that this is of her doing, but it's understandable.
But, and this week I didn't lose a pound. I was just floating along. I wasn't being consistent with my calorie counting, all that stuff, whatever. It's not whatever. I'm whatever in myself, because I'm ridiculous.
I actually think that this is a bit of a real moment for Candy. I like that she gets it. I feel like when I was explaining that, success is not a linear journey. And sometimes I think we can see people seemingly fail or falling back from the outside, but potentially it's not actually having fallen back. Potentially there is actually something that sunk in, or a little bit of a mindset shift, or, something has changed that outside parties can't see. And given some of this language, I just can't help but feel that there might be a little bit of a mindset change happening. It's not happening fast enough. It's really not. Time is absolutely of the essence here, but I do think we're just starting to see a little bit of something. It's just unfortunately not solid enough that it's there all the time, but it is there sometimes at least. And it's always worth keeping in mind too, when that happens as an external party looking in. I think sometimes it's really easy to judge or to label or to pigeonhole, but the reality is that we really, really don't know where people are at in their journey, where they've come from, what they're doing in their head, or where they're going. Hopefully Candy can get there.
I'm working towards trying to basically save my life here. Get my mobility back, and I'm just farting around, making poor choices when I, should be eating better quality foods.
So she gets it, right? She at least is able to verbalize the reality of things. And I think this is probably what her audience needs to hear from her. Unfortunately, she's doing it on her second channel, where there is a fraction of the amount of subscribers. But to be able to hear that she gets it, I think would go a long way to calming down that part of the audience that she's not enjoying at the moment.
But the problem is I want to go in the kitchen and cook, But it's like I spend a few hours in the kitchen cooking and I'm done for like the next 3 days. I can't, and I'm done so bad, I can't even go in there and put something in the microwave. I mean, how hard is it to get up and go put something in the microwave?
And I don't doubt that. I can fully see that. I have no doubt that it is very difficult for Candy to navigate a kitchen and to have the stamina and the energy involved. And I understand being completely flattened for a few days. But this is not the only option. Right? This is still setting herself up to say, oh, I have this excuse. This is my hurdle. I'm not going to bother researching past this hurdle. And so what? Then you just lie down and game over? It doesn't make sense. And it's really worth checking these things in your lives, these things that you're telling yourself. Is it fact? Because here is what's fact with Candy's situation. Okay, so she said she can do a couple of hours in the kitchen, but then she's like exhausted for the next 2 or 3 days. Okay, so where my mind goes is to something like a slow cooker, where you do all of the prep work, you chuck it in, you forget it for a few hours, and then you've made food in bulk, which means that you're also saving money. And it means that you also, all you have to do is heat it up for the next, couple of weeks, really. Or pick some things that don't require a great deal of cooking, because a couple of hours for one meal is a lot. And there are a huge amount of other options that do not involve that kind of constant standing. So it's that opening your mind up to other possibilities and opening your mind up to being able to research. We're living in the internet world and there's nothing that you can't learn online. So my biggest issue with Candy at the moment was that these lies that she's telling herself are going to be her undoing.
And then me with my hip stuff, my hip has gotten like worse and worse and worse since I've been living in this apartment. And I'm not doing any less or any more than what I've ever done. Well, I take that back. I used to, at least before quarantine, Susan and I would go out from time to time to the movies or something. We go to the casinos and go to the movies. So I was getting out at least a couple of times a month.
I'm a little bit proud of her there. She caught herself in a lie that she tells herself, I am not doing any more or less than I was doing. Well, actually, no, I'm actually doing a lot less than what I was doing. And that would be correct, because movement to a degree would be helping her. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with her hip, but I imagine that there's probably a fair amount of wear going on there. So I'm impressed she caught that one.
Yeah, so I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to do. I'm just going to keep trying. Just keep moving. Just don't quit. It hurts, but I've just got to keep trying.
Yes, I do agree with that. And I do support that message. But also maybe try some different things as well. Look at things from a different perspective. What else can be done? What is impeding this from going ahead? What is another way of getting around it? And there are a lot of answers out there. This kind of situation can absolutely be worked around.
And today it's mukbang day, so I took the midweek off, so I have to do something. And I'm doing other content too. People are talking about it, and I'm like, so I'm trying to make some money outside of YouTube. I'd like to do YouTube less if possible. I don't want to feel like I'm obligated to order takeout, because, and even the takeout that I do that's a little bit less calories or less food in general, they get mediocre views.
Also not true. I found that in the scrolling for McDonald's, the food amount doesn't appear to actually factor. So again, maybe it was true once, it's not true anymore. But it's one thing that I will say, firstly, when I heard this little clip, I thought, oh my gosh, is she talking about me? I've been talking about it. But, I think I'm a really small channel. I don't think that she necessarily knows of my existence. But I do love that she's looking for alternative income other than just mukbangs. And I kind of like that she's saying, I want to do YouTube less and the other more. Just so long as the that is something that she's comfortable doing and is something that she wants to do. I know she has a very, very long history in it, and I don't think she started it for good reasons, but if she's able to fall back on it and still make an income while obviously not doing that kind of mukbang content on there, but that would allow her to look after her health, I hope that's the case. I hope it's a positive thing. It sounds like a good option. It's still not the only option though.
And I'm like, what the hell, best views I've had in a month or more has been McDonald's. And I'm like, that's crap. But people want to watch me eat crap, so they can complain about it. Or they want to eat vicariously through me, one or the other. I mean, whichever it is. I've already proven to myself that I can do this if I do the thing, and I'll admit I didn't really do the thing this week. Most days I was around my calorie count for the day, but the type of food I'm eating is not the best. So, I'm going to chalk it up to that. My body's like not digging what I'm doing here. So I got to do better for me, for my body.
Yes, those are the words that I wanted to hear. Do it for me. Do it for my body. That's all this ever boils down to for everybody. This meat suit that we're all in and just walking around, this is the only one we're going to get. So you really need to make sure you look after it, and you do it for you. You don't do it because somebody else wants you to, or because you think you should, or you do it because you are really motivated to do it and because you want to care for your own body. Like I say, I don't think we're there yet. I worry about the amount of time that it's taking her to get there, but I do think she is getting there. But here is the final mukbang of March, and my goodness, is there some interesting stuff in it.
Hey y'all, today I'm having Jimmy John's for the first time ever. I've never had Jimmy John's before.
I don't know this food. It looks like an odd combination of food, and it looks big, but anyway, not the point. Let's continue.
When I skipped doing the video Wednesday, I did video elsewhere. Woo! I tell you, my biggest fan found it almost immediately. Almost immediately. I didn't have to advertise it anywhere. And the good thing about this free advertising that I'm getting is people will go for the cheap clip and they'll go back in the catalog and buy a whole bunch of other clips. So like I've got, you've made a sale, you've made a sale, you've made a sale. And then there's like 20 videos. So there's going to be less of this and probably more of that.
So confirmation that the mukbang that was missed was absolutely for this kind of content. And I think that's great, because that's then thousands and thousands of calories that normally would have been consumed that I am assuming were not. I don't know the details of the kind of content that she's putting up elsewhere, but she is making it sound like it's not like consuming this kind of food. So I think it's great she's built this fan base. I'm hoping, like I said, that this is going to be a positive thing for her. I think this is her finally taking the reins to actually make a change, and more of that, less of this. Yes, Candy.
So yeah, I can sell a clip very cheap. A clip of me doing next to nothing as well. Something that I would never do on YouTube, obviously. Number one, I was undressed. And if you've been following me and you have no idea who I am or about my past, honey, I'm sorry to tell you, but I've been an adult performer way, way, way longer than I've been on YouTube. Way longer. I started creating adult content in 2002. I've been on television internationally, syndicated all over the world. lots of British TV shows that I've done, which is funny. I had like Maury Povich and Jenny Jones and Jerry Springer, all of those people, they were all over me trying to get me to go on their shows, and I was like,
So that was news to me. I mean, it's probably a good thing that she didn't go on those kind of shows. That wouldn't have. It's never a good thing. But yeah, if you were unaware of her past, I did cover it quite a bit in chapter 2 of her series. It's all out there for you to find, but she absolutely did have a very lengthy career and apparently still does.
And some people like to get it confused, like that's why I left my kids or whatever, but no, that's what I did to survive after I left. I was mentally ill. I mean, I was mentally ill, and I don't like to think about it like that my partner for many, many years at that time of my life, and the person that got me started doing the adult content, I don't want to feel like it was predatory, because it was a symbiotic relationship.
So that really confirmed my speculation that I had around her origin of adult content. I did observe that she started at the same time that this relationship with Tommy had started. I did wonder if, maybe he got her into it or maybe they met at the same time, but it does sound like it was not the best thing for her to do at the time. She also did express in her origin story, so chapter 1 that I did, that maybe she did it to spite her grandfather. So I don't think these are good reasons to start this kind of career. I do hope that she is okay with it, because I think that this kind of thing can get exploitative very easily and very quickly, and I hope that's not the case. But she says it was mutual. We'll have to trust that.
I didn't have a life left to go back to. It was a bad scene. It was all a bad scene.
So please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm still building my Candy timeline. As I learn more about her, I add to it. But I think Red, the man that was living with her recently, is her baby daddy, and they had kids together. She thought she couldn't have children, but they did wind up having children and divorced very shortly after having children. And then it seems like there wasn't much time before getting into the relationship with Tommy and the adult entertainment. She did wind up putting her children with her parents, and she goes in to talk a little bit about that.
That being said, I did go back at one point because I was needed. And then as soon as I was not needed anymore, I was told not to return. So, I left, but I went back.
So I don't know about this. She doesn't elaborate on it. I'm hoping maybe there's bits and pieces in videos that I will cover in chapters to come, but I'm not sure about the context here.
And here I find out years later that was not the best place to leave my kids. It probably would have been a lot better for them if I would have just legit put them up for adoption.
Okay, I am not going to be the person that sits in judgment here of Candy. I absolutely have things in my past that I'm not proud of. And I think it's very easy to put labels and blame on people in a situation that we don't know the full story or what the mental health was like at the time. What I can say is if you watch chapter 1, we go through her origin story, and she does discuss how, I'm going to say, physically intense in the realm of mistreatment her grandfather was to her and also to her mother. So I think looking at it logically, we could say, how could you not think it would be a bad situation? Because clearly there's multiple generations now who have experienced a bad situation at the hands of these people. So it's probably going to be the same for your children as well. But at the same time, not understanding where mental health is at or what maturity levels are or what the alternative options are, maybe that seemed like a good choice. I don't want people to think of anybody that I cover as the summation of the mistakes that they've made in their lives, because I would challenge you to analyze your own life and, have there been mistakes? Have there been things that you regret? Are there things that keep you up at night and, like to roll around in your head while you're trying to get to sleep? We don't know. And while this may seem like an extreme thing because we are speaking about children, I do believe that for the most part, people are just trying to do the best they can to survive. And for whatever reason, she was thinking that this was what her children needed. That's all I'm going to say on that.
About a year after I moved in with Thomas, he was able to quit his day job and just live solely off of income from the internet. Thanks to my giant body.
So there have been little bits and pieces that do imply that Tommy was also involved in the videos and the content, but I'm not sure because the way she phrases it there kind of makes it sound like he was just living off her career. It's unclear. What is clear is she has said that this was absolutely a mistreating relationship.
Because, even if you think it's disgusting and you don't want to see it, somebody does. Somebody wants to see it.
So what she's talking about here is that she's getting a lot of comments in her YouTube channels, commenting about her body in that way. And yeah, that's what makes the world go round, isn't it?
Not so much that I did it, but because of how people just went crazy. And it's certain people. It's just a particular person. Not naming names. Y'all know. If y'all are in the comments, y'all see the crazy, I say I'm crazy. But people that leave 50 comments on a YouTube post, how vile and disgusting I am.
Yeah, and what I have to say about that is this is absolutely a valid career and a valid way to make an income. So long as it's all done for the right reasons and everybody is consenting and everybody is adult, it's, it's whatever. It's a job. But again, we're referencing that kind of negative space, quote unquote, hate in the comment section. And she continues.
But eventually I get bored with people commenting the same things over and over and over again. And I'll start blocking. I'll be like, who goes first, I haven't reblocked anybody yet. But I tell you what, there's a few of y'all. Y'all ain't here for nothing but a good time, and your good time is trying to make another person feel like crap. And if that's your good time, there is something seriously wrong with you.
Yeah, and unfortunately that's true. Once you put your content out on the internet, you've made it public domain, and so people are going to react and interact with it in the way that brings them joy, and sometimes that way is not going to make you feel very good. While I don't necessarily agree with blocking in most cases, because I think blocking is still sending a message. It may not be the right message. I do think that she should be protecting her well-being. If it's getting into the nasty kind of hate speech realm, absolutely she should be taking action with these people.
Oh man. Some of these people are exhausting, and I'll go in the comments not to see their ridiculousness. It's just absurd. I go in the comments so I can hopefully catch some of the people that are being kind and respectful and trying to be helpful. If you're making a comment and you're saying something ugly about how I look or the size of my arms or, some, irritated skin. It's irritated. It's not infected.
And if you've never been in her comment section, people go off about her skin. There's so much speculation around it, and it's why you won't hear me talking about her physical traits as much as her health and her health journey that she's trying to do. As with everybody, I think when you start making observations and comments on appearance like that, you're just driving into that kind of dehumanizing realm of putting people down. And I hope, Nuggets, I hope that's none of you. It's not what I want to see. That's not definitely not going to be the vibe of this channel. But I can't imagine hearing observations about my appearance like that, like constantly. And if she's saying she's trying to go into the comments to find her supporters and to find the kind people, well, it's a tricky game to play, isn't it? Because you're going to go in there and you're going to get what you're going to get because those people are going to interact with the content the way they want to. So maybe she shouldn't be in there at all, potentially.
You know, people like to say, well, she's not nice. Well, why? Because I've done porn in my life? Because I left my children with who I thought were good people that would take care of them when I could not? I mean, if that's bad, then I guess I'm bad, you know? But look at the people that are saying this stuff to me. You know, and how they name call and dehumanize and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I think we're definitely seeing some pain from Candy about this. I think she tries to keep a really brave front and a really tough front about this, but I think the fact that she's bringing this up so repeatedly over a relatively short space of time, we're only dealing with a month here, I think it's getting to her. I haven't observed whether there has actually been an escalation recently, and it kind of is a little bit like Amber Lynn. Like, if you look at her videos, there's nothing but negative comments in her comments section. She has very few supporters in her community at this point, and I'm hoping that doesn't go that way with Candy. I don't think it's quite as bad as what Amber Lynn has been experiencing recently, but it's not going to be good for the mental health to start getting into those comments if there's going to be a skew towards this kind of name calling and dehumanization. It's a very fine line to walk, and given what she's saying, I don't think she should be playing around with it.
But yeah, so I love all y'all, you know, regardless of anything you've ever said to me. I still love you. You know, you're a human being and I respect you as a fellow human being. And you're entitled to your opinions, you're entitled to your thoughts, and you're entitled to say whatever you want to say about me. I do like to be liked, you know, and I don't like being misunderstood or having my personal history rewritten by people who weren't there, you know. It bothers me when people talk about my kids because y'all don't know my kids, y'all don't know their lives, and y'all pick at me about doing adult stuff. I mean, God, my kids are adults. They're in their mid-20s now, you know, and they live adult lives and they do adult things.
So I'm not aware what she's discussing there. I haven't seen this in her comments, but I'm wondering if her children have gotten into a certain career path is kind of what that sounds like. And it sounds like Candy is copping quite a bit of criticism as to how they've turned out. And like I said, you know, we've all got things in our past, whether it's on this level, whether it's worse, you know. We are not able to sit in judgment of Candy, her career, her choices, or her life path. It's ultimately her choice how she wants to live her life. And I do wonder what she's talking about when she says that she doesn't like being misunderstood and she doesn't like her personal history being rewritten by people that weren't there. As far as I know, there are no other reaction channels covering her at the moment, but I'm wondering if maybe people are making assumptions about how she handled the custody of her children and the choices that she made at that point. And yeah, I don't know. If you have any other insight into this, maybe some of you have sat in the comments a bit longer than I have. I'd be very interested to know. But yeah, totally a quick mother clucker. This is definitely a short video. Yeah, okay. If you're still here, thank you so much. But I just wanted to do that little bit of a catch up with Candy, and maybe we'll do some quick mother cluckers on some other people that I cover as well and catch up with them. But that's all the clucks I have left to give today. Stay golden, my little nuggets, and I'll catch you next time.
Hey! I'm gonna go watch another video. Let's go!